This is my professional development presentation over differentiating instruction. Differentiated instruction is ways that are used as different strategies to help students learn. Um, these can be different strategies like hands-on learning, visual learning, and anything other really than a lecture because that is the traditional instruction. So these are modifications to that traditional instruction. Um, More than one of these instructional methods can be used at once. So it's very beneficial to the students because they not only can learn hands-on, but maybe visually as well. So it really helps the students out learn in many different ways. It also makes sure that the content reaches all of the students. So this way, one student may learn in one way and another in a different way. So if we're using two different kinds of differentiated instruction, that way both of these students are gaining the knowledge that they deserve to be learning during the school day. So how teachers differentiate instruction, they can use things like learning groups or learning stations. In these learning groups, students are grouped together by their interests or what they kind of like to do, favorite activities, what they learn best with. So this way, it also helps the teachers as well as the students because with teachers, they know what they can come up and talk to the students about, and it really gets them engaged in the activity. And also, along with this, if students are with like-minded other students that learn the same way, maybe, or have the same interests, they won't feel as shy or anything to ask those peers for questions, and they can really help each other out because they understand each other. Another way differentiated instruction can happen is through assessing students. This can be through your typical tests or assessments, or it can just be by seeing what each student likes or prefers and things like that. Scaffolding is a very good method as well. Really helps out the students. And another one is models or demonstrations. This is really good for the visual learners and those kind of learners. So you can by teachers doing this, they can really help out the students. Ways that students can be prepared are students can be prepared is by their readiness, their interest, and their learning styles. So they can test the readiness of their students by their knowledge of the skill level that's being taught. So see if maybe they're ready to move on to the next topic, or maybe if you need to spend a little more time with them. So their readiness. Interest goes along with what they are interested in, like their favorite activities, their skills, things that really pique what they want to be learning in, what the students really enjoy, what they want to do. On their learning style, this is you can see what they which way they learn. So is it better to be hands-on? Is it better to do visual learning? Now I know that these students, they really each student has a different learning style, but if you know, or at least have an idea of which way each student learns, it can be really help not only the students out, but the teacher as well, because you're kind of aware, you're ready, you know what each student is ready to learn. In a differentiated instruction in the classroom, these things are such as like a positive learning environment and an encouraging learning environment. These two types of environment can really engage students in the learning process and makes it very easy for them to learn and really makes them want to learn. There's also respect that needs to happen in the classroom, not only between the students, both the students and students, but also the teacher and students. This way they know what their boundaries are, what their guidelines, everything like that are, and each of the student and the teacher both have respect for each other. And going along with this, communication is also one of a beneficial differentiated instruction classroom, because communication is key really in any situation, and especially in this type of classroom, because the students are not only okay with talking amongst themselves to figure out things, but in this type of classroom, they're also willing and able to talk to the teacher as well. So they have more than one source that they can go to help them when they have an issue or a problem or need just a little bit of extra help. So it's very good. One thing that also can happen in these classrooms are routines. Not maybe per se a routine that happens every day. I mean, it can, but there's just maybe something that students really look forward to that they get to do on a regular basis or once a week or something like that. So this really helps out. And finally, inclusion. And this is a big part to a differentiated classroom because every student feels involved. No matter how they learn, what they do differently, it doesn't matter. These students are really engaged and included in the learning process. So, some of the examples in that common schools practice for differentiated instruction, which are actually not examples of it. The first one would be giving a lecture to students, and this is not beneficial because it doesn't really help every student. Not all students learn in the exact same way, so just by talking to them and telling them, some students really don't get engaged in that, and they really don't feel like it's helping them in their education or anything. So these types of the way we interact with our students and everything, they need to be varied. They need to be hands-on. They need to be anything visual, something different. I mean, lecturing is okay, but just to switch it up, and if you switch it up, your students don't get bored. They don't feel like they're not having fun in the class and anything like that. Something else is by grouping students. Grouping students can be beneficial, but you have to group them in the right way. So just by grouping them from previous test scores or previous assessments, that's not beneficial because students advance and they advance quickly, especially in the younger ages. So by going off of previous scores or previous information, it's not beneficial because they're farther ahead than where they were in that test score. If you go off something from the current year, maybe from a couple weeks ago, that's okay because they still advance from that, but it's a little closer than something from last year. But grouping them can be beneficial if you group them maybe say in their interests or activities, or these ones excel at math, something like that. But you also have to scatter them apart so each group helps each other. So you kind of have to, something you really have to be careful with and really know what students you're putting in which group. The final one is the giving bonus points for participating in class, and this is not a good example because some students are shy and some students don't like to participate in class like out loud. But I think another way to do that would be maybe by giving bonus points for writing an extra paragraph on a paper or an assignment or something, because some students maybe are better at writing than they are vocalizing what they believe or what they think the answer is, because some are a little shy, some have anxiety. So doing those are not really practices of differentiating instruction or practices. What my colleagues could do differently, there are many different things. So with lecturing, of course, just don't lecture every single period that you have students in your classroom, because they're going to get bored. They're not going to enjoy the class. If you switch it up, if you do hands-on activities or visual activities with the students, it'll really get them engaged and it'll make them excited to join the class. And so things like that will really get students ready to go, ready to learn, and everything like that. With the grouping students based on previous tests, we don't want to do that. I mean, I understand maybe at the beginning of the year, but something they could do differently is go off the students' interests, the students' likes. So this way the students can collaborate amongst themselves and with you as well for maybe different types of projects and stuff throughout the year. And finally, with the bonus points, I think bonus points are a good thing. They make students want to work a little more, but you got to be careful how you do it because not every student likes to participate in class. They should be, but they don't like to do it vocally or out loud in front of everyone else. They're just a little shy or something. So instead, you can have them write extra paragraphs, write something, maybe a separate paper or something, just to give them extra options, maybe do something outside of the classroom for bonus points. And you have to make sure though that these are options for everyone because you don't want to leave anyone out, maybe then things happen. So, and this is my final presentation on differentiating instruction.